Multiple members from the bipartisan task force created to investigate the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump visited Butler, Pennsylvania yesterday. There they walked the grounds where the incident occurred, climbing onto the roof where a shooter was able to fire 8 times at the Republican presidential nominee, just 150 yards away from the podium. Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida was there in Pennsylvania yesterday. He joins us now. What did you learn, Congressman, that by visiting the site that you hadn't known before?
No, good morning. Thanks for having me. What I learned actually is you've read about the proximity of the buildings, but until you actually get to the site, you actually realize how close that roof is to where Donald Trump was on the stage. It is really close. Yes, it was outside of this perimeter. But you get a sense of the landscape, and quite frankly, it makes it even more outrageous. One, that the former Secret Service director did not go there, which is why she's now resigned, among other reasons. But also, you get a sense for the multitude of failures that day. There's not one thing that went wrong. It's obviously clear there are multiple things that did not go correct, and I say that as a former director of emergency management for the state of Florida and someone who's from Parkland and went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School where the shooting was. And so, you know, Congress is, in a bipartisan way, is going to look at the failures those days and what steps, what corrective measures have been taken to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Congressman, it's Alexi McCammon. Thanks for being here, and thanks for all you're doing. I don't know if it's a lack of information that people are looking for or just their imaginations running wild. I am struck by the number of people online who, and otherwise, who believe that this situation was staged. What do you say to people who think that, especially after visiting this site?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things we've talked as a task force, both Democrats and Republicans, and why you see us doing this really on such a bipartisan basis is both sides are struggling with this conspiracy theory. On one side, it's that Donald Trump staged it, and on the other side, it was an inside job. And so, look, there is no evidence of either of those at the moment. But yes, one of the things we've talked about is because government, Secret Service, FBI, Homeland Security is not putting out enough information, filling that vacuum is being filled with misinformation. And that is incumbent upon us to try to push government to try to get these answers faster. We're well aware of that there's a process and an investigation going on, but we are saying to them and to ourselves, we got to have a hearing and we got to get some of this information into the sunshine. Otherwise, that misinformation and those conspiracy theories will take hold. No question about it. I will tell you this. When you go there and you see that the shooter had a complete line of sight and you see that this building, which should have been in the perimeter, was outside of the perimeter, I think it's so bewildering. It's so unimaginable that he could have had a clear shot at a former president of the United States, that people don't want to accept that it was just a failure of systems. They want to say that was so impossible, it must have been staged or it must have been an inside job. And sometimes government fails. And I've seen that happen. I saw it happen at my high school. And so when these events happen, sometimes the mind wants to take us to other places when really the simplest answer is that this was a system that hadn't been tested in a long period of time and it completely failed, which is why it needs to be fixed.
Congressman, are you convinced that the system has been fixed now as we head into the last stretch of this campaign with Kamala Harris out there as the Democratic candidate?
Well, and that's what we've talked about. We've talked about, obviously, you got the Democratic candidate and you got the Republican candidate still out there. You got the vice presidential candidates out there. You got the families out there. And so, yeah, we're having to fix this in real time. So we have asked for the corrective measures. We're told that corrective measures have been taken. But one of the things we're talking about as a task force is maybe to go along with the campaigns to see these corrective measures in real time. Trust but verify, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida, thank you very much for that update. And still